Libra, what was taken from you will return 10 times stronger. You were taught to think that losing is the end of something, but what if each loss that Libra experienced was in fact a deposit, not in an account you forgot to access, in an account that the universe automatically opens when the Venus field realizes that the investment was real, that the commitment was genuine, that the pain was real, that the silence came at a high price. Libra has a relationship with loss that almost no one from the outside understands, not because they are fragile, but because they feel the weight of things with a precision that most people will never know. They register what has been taken away. They know, deep down, when the account doesn't balance. And now I need to ask you something. What was taken from you? The love, the recognition, the opportunity, the person, the dream. Do you think it's all gone? Because there's a mechanism within Libra's nature that most astrologers never quite explain, a mechanism that transforms everything that seems like a loss into something completely different, something that grows in silence, something that accumulates precisely in the places where you felt you were falling behind the most. By the end of this video, something will make sense in a way it never has before. Not about what you lost, regarding what is about to return. Because Libra learns early on to say that everything is okay. She learns that maintaining peace comes at a price, and that she's the one who most often pays that price. She learns that sometimes it's easier to give in than to explain why she doesn't want to. She learns that the harmony she upholds for everyone else rarely exists for herself. And that's where Libra's oldest cycle begins. The person left. The project didn't work out. The opportunity passed. The love wasn't reciprocated. Recognition didn't come. And Libra was left staring at the void, left by these things, trying to understand what it had done wrong. But what if she hadn't done anything wrong? What if the loss wasn't punishment, but something completely different, something Libra can't put into words because no one has ever explained it to them that way? Here's what most people don't know about the nature of Libra. And it's disturbingly simple. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus doesn't operate on the logic of scarcity. Venus operates on the logic of abundance, attraction, and reciprocity. But there's a characteristic of Venus that is rarely discussed. Venus accumulates. Everything that passes through Venus's field leaves a trace. Energy, emotion, intention, commitment, nothing disappears. Nothing is wasted. What seems to have gone away has in fact been converted, stored in a place that Libra's conscious mind cannot access, but that her energy field knows very well. Each time Libra gave more than it should have, that excess was recorded. Each time she remained silent when she wanted to speak, that energy did not evaporate. Every time she gave up something she loved, because she felt she didn't deserve it, or because it was easier not to fight for it, that love didn't disappear. It was stored away. And how much longer will Libra carry this invisible weight? Will it continue recording losses without ever asking what happens to everything that has been accumulated? But what happens to all that has accumulated? This weight that Libra carries without a name, without shape, without really knowing what to do with it. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book, The Divine Path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose. It's not a book that will tell you what you want to hear. It's a book that will give you what you need to understand, especially if you are a Libra and feel that much of what was yours hasn't returned yet. It works precisely in this area: how to recognize what has accumulated within you, how to stop blocking what is coming, how to transform the history of losses into a foundation for something much greater. You are at a specific point in your life right now. Something in this video touched on a point you may not have considered in a while. This discomfort you're feeling isn't weakness, it's recognition. And recognition is the first step toward genuine engagement. Don't delay it. When the discomfort is active, it's the best time to act. The link is in the first pinned comment. But be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. And while you're thinking about that, tell me in the comments, what was the biggest thing you felt was taken from you and that you still don't understand why? So let's talk about the mechanism. There's a pattern in Libra that she rarely names, but anyone close to her will recognize. It's the pattern of minimization. Libra loses something and quickly finds a way to make it seem smaller than it was. It wasn't that important. It's over. Everything happens for a reason. Not that these phrases are lies, but the speed with which Libra uses them is suspicious. It's as if she's afraid of the weight of the loss itself, as if giving herself space to feel how much it hurt would be too dangerous, as if it would throw everything off balance again. But here's the paradox. By minimizing the loss, Libra doesn't cancel the record. It only postpones the processing. The weight remains. It continues to occupy space. It continues to weigh, only now in a way that Libra doesn't see. And what is not seen cannot be transformed. Think of a scale. Imagine that you always remove weight from your own side to make it seem fair. It looks balanced from the outside, but inside, you know you've given way. And that weight you removed, where did it go? It stayed on the floor, at the base of the scale, invisible but there. Libra has a huge pile of weight on the floor. Things she set aside, desires she saved for later, recognition she didn't claim, love she didn't seek because she didn't want to disturb. Each of these burdens was removed from her side of the scale in the name of a harmony that often only existed for others. And the question no one asks Libra is, how long do you think this will stay on the ground? Venus doesn't operate on the logic of permanent loss. It operates on the logic of circulation. What enters a Venusian field doesn't disappear, it transforms. And Libra's field is full, very full, of energy that has accumulated unintentionally, without direction, without her knowing it was happening. The problem isn't the lack of it. The problem is that Libra has never learned to recognize what's coming. Libra is the sign of Venus, the planet of abundance, and yet it carries this feeling that it's never enough, that others always receive more, that it gives and doesn't receive back in the same measure. This is no coincidence. It is precisely this paradox that the digital book, the divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose, addresses head-on. It explains how Libra, in trying to balance the world around it, sometimes forgets to balance the world within itself, and how changing this is not a matter of... It requires effort, but it deserves recognition. If you feel this paradox describes you, then this book is for you. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. Venus rules Libra for a reason that goes beyond aesthetics, beyond beauty, beyond romantic love. That's what everyone mentions when they talk about this planet. Venus governs the principle of reciprocity, not the reciprocity you demand from others. The reciprocity that the energy field around you automatically creates, a kind of emotional gravity that draws back everything that came out of you with real intention. What Libra doesn't understand is that it's one of the most powerful signs in the zodiac in this sense, because it invests a lot, emotionally, energetically, in relationships, in projects, in people. It puts a lot of itself into it, and everything it puts into it creates a current, a tide. Think of a tide. When the water recedes, it seems like it's going away forever. The beach is exposed, the bottom is visible. It seems like loss, like abandonment, like the sea has gone. But anyone who knows the ocean knows the tide is gaining momentum. It's organizing itself. It's gathering strength for what's to come. The period in which Libra felt the most loss was, more often than not, the period when the tide was going out. And what comes after the tide recedes isn't the same amount of water that went away. It's more. It's always more. Because the tide doesn't return in the same proportion that it took away. It returns with the force it accumulated during the ebb. 10 times stronger isn't a promise. It's physics. But here's something Libra needs to understand before receiving what's coming, because there's a blind spot within her that could cause her to lose again, not through bad luck, not through injustice, but because of a pattern she carries within herself that she has never named. There is a force within Libra that has been forming precisely during the moments when they felt they were losing the most. Like pressure on coal, invisible, slow, but creating something that nothing else in the world can create. The book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, specifically addresses this territory, helping Libra recognize what has formed within them during cycles of loss, and how to access this power without fear, without guilt, without the feeling of not deserving it, because that is the real blockage, and this book helps to undo it. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. Libra's blind spot has a name. It's not insecurity, it's not lack of confidence, it's not what is normally said about her. It's the fear of receiving. It sounds absurd when put like that. How can someone who has spent so much time wanting more be afraid of receiving it? But that's exactly what happens to Libra during turning points. Because Libra has become accustomed to waiting, she has become accustomed to desiring from a safe distance, that distance that allows her to desire without being devastated if it doesn't come. She has created a sophisticated armor of "I don't need much" that protects her heart, but also keeps the field closed. And then, when the reciprocation begins to happen, when new love appears, when opportunity knocks, when recognition finally arrives, Libra hesitates. That fraction of a second before accepting, that silent question, "But is this really for me?" Imagine someone who has trained for a race their whole life, who woke up early, who felt pain, who gave up things to be prepared, and then, when they reach the finish line with an advantage, they slow down. They don't stop, they don't give up, but they slow down, as if the act of winning were more frightening than the act of losing. Libra does that, not because she's weak, because she's profound, because she feels the weight of what she's receiving in a way that more superficial people don't, and feeling too much can paralyze. What changes this is not courage in the raw sense of the word. What changes this is clarity. Clarity about what has been accumulated, about what is coming, about the fact that the approaching return is not luck. It is a consequence. It is the nature of Venus in action. It is the field of Libra responding to what it has invested. And when Libra understands this with the part of them that delves deep into things, not the part that smiles and says everything is fine, but the part that feels the weight and knows the difference between what is real and what is protection, when that part understands, something changes, not dramatically, not all at once, but permanently. Because Libra, when it decides on something with all its depth, doesn't back down. That's the strength that few talk about. Not its beauty, not its charm, the silent stubbornness of someone who, once convinced, carries that conviction forever. And it is precisely this stubbornness that will hold back what is coming. Everything narrated so far converges on one point. Libra didn't lose for nothing. Each loss was capital invested in a field that operates according to the logic of Venus: abundance, reciprocity, multiplication. What's coming isn't compensation. It's the return on everything that was put in with real intention, even unknowingly. The book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, is the map for this specific moment. The moment when Libra stops avoiding what it deserves and begins to receive with the same depth with which it has always given. It's not a book for just any time. It's for now, while the turning point is still happening. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. So we arrive at what the title promised, 10 times stronger. This is not motivational hyperbole. It is not an empty promise. It is the most honest description there is of what happens when Venus's field finally begins to circulate after a long period of being stagnant. Think about compound interest. Not the financial kind, the energetic kind. Every time Libra invested of itself and didn't receive it back immediately, that investment kept earning interest. Silently, invisibly, accumulating. The time that seemed like a loss was, in fact, the period of greatest capital growth, and Venus's interest rates aren't linear. They're exponential. What was taken from Libra, love, recognition, opportunity, the person, the dream, did not return in the same way because it could not return in the same way. It would return less than what was accumulated. So the universe, operating according to the logic of Venus, awaits the moment when the return can be proportional to what was kept. 10 times stronger isn't about quantity, it's about quality. It's about arriving in the right form, on the right field, with the right Libra. Not the one that gave in out of fear, but the one that finally understood it deserves what's coming. And this is where everything comes to an end. Libra always knew something was out of balance. They always felt the weight on the scales. They always had that uneasy feeling that the accounts hadn't yet settled. This feeling wasn't paranoia. It wasn't negativity. It was the Venusian system at work, warning that the cycle wasn't yet complete, that the tide was still receding, that the dam was still forming. What is coming to Libra now is not new. It is the return of what has always been hers, with the interest of time, with the strength of what has been accumulated, with the clarity of someone who has gone through the entire cycle and arrived on the other side, understanding something that previously had no words. The scales will balance, not because life is fair in a simple and predictable way, but because Venus operates on a deeper plane than human justice. And Libra, the one who felt the weight, who remained silent when it hurt, who waited without knowing she was waiting. Libra is exactly the kind of presence that this field recognizes. What was taken from you hasn't gone away. I was waiting for the right moment to come back in the right way, 10 times stronger.